Predator, Badlands 2025 dives deep into the most personal and emotional story the Predator franchise has ever told. The tragic family feud that tore a Yautja clan apart. At the center of it all is Dek, a young Predator exiled by his own father, Njohrr, after a brutal combat ritual gone wrong. But what really happened during that fight? Why did Njohrr turn on his own son? And how did Dek's brother Kwei end up losing his arm trying to protect him? Welcome back to your nerdy show. I'm your host, Spoiler Master, and today we're breaking down the explosive family conflict in Predator, Badlands, exploring why Dek was cast out, the twisted motives behind his father's fury, and what this shocking Yautja family drama means for the future of the franchise. Dek, the young Predator outcast. Dek is introduced as a young Yautja, essentially the Predator equivalent of a teenager. Unlike the towering, heavily armored hunters we've seen before, Dek is smaller, leaner, and visibly more humanized. His expressions are more readable, his body less intimidating, and that's deliberate. The creators wanted audiences to connect with him emotionally, to actually feel for a predator rather than fear one. He's portrayed by Demetrius Schuster-Kolamatangi, marking a historic first for the franchise, a predator as the main character. And this change instantly sets the tone for Badlands. It's not a story about humans being hunted. It's about the hunter himself trying to survive his own people's judgment. As a youngling, Dek is eager to prove himself worthy of being part of the Yautja warrior class. But from the start, he's treated as different, physically smaller, possibly weaker, and even rumored to be half-blind in one eye. In a species that values perfection, that makes him a disappointment. A fall from grace. The clan's rejection. Dek's tragedy begins within his own clan. Early footage and production details reveal that he's exiled after an act considered dishonorable by Yautja standards. He's labeled bad blood, a term used for predators who break sacred codes. We don't know the full reason for his punishment, but the film hints it has less to do with betrayal and more to do with his father's ruthless expectations. The Yautja code of honor is absolute: strength, precision, and respect for the hunt. And breaking those rules or showing weakness is the ultimate shame. Dek's father, Njohrr, is a clan leader, a massive battle-scarred elder predator with white dreadlocks, antler-like horns on his mask, and a long history of enforcing these traditions without mercy. He embodies everything Dek isn't: proud, powerful, and unrelenting. When Dek's brother Kwei, his father's favorite son, defeats him in a ritual duel but refuses to kill him, Njohrr interprets it as defiance. In rage, he attacks Kwei, leaving him maimed and bleeding. That act seals Dek's fate. He's banished, branded as unworthy, and sent into exile on a hostile alien planet called Njohrr.
Everything is trying to kill you.
Njohrr is the Badlands of the film's title, a world ruled by extremes, towering jungles, volcanic deserts, and swarms of lethal creatures form its ecosystem. Even the plants are hostile, secreting toxins and ensnaring prey. When Dek is dropped onto Njohrr, he's stripped of almost everything: his armor, his rank among his people, his name. He's forced to survive using scavenged tech and instinct alone. Over time, Dek reclaims some of his lost tools: a spear, a red glowing plasma blade, grenade-like orbs that may function as cloaking devices, and a metacomp to heal his injuries. Each piece of gear represents a small step toward reclaiming his identity as a Yautja hunter. This planet becomes more than a setting. It's Dek's crucible. Every challenge on Njohrr mirrors his internal struggle to transform from a shamed exile to a self-made warrior. The arrival of Yautja. Of course, no Predator story would be complete without humanity meddling where it doesn't belong. The Yautja Corporation, the infamous company that connects the Alien and Predator universes, has a presence on Njohrr. In Badlands, their motives remain murky. Maybe they're harvesting the planet's resources, maybe they're studying the creatures, or maybe they're hunting the predators themselves. Either way, they represent the encroachment of human greed into alien domains. Among the Yautja presence is Thea, an android played by Elle Fanning. Her glowing eyes subtly reveal her synthetic nature, and her link to the corporation adds another layer to the conflict. Thea isn't your typical emotionless machine, though. She's self-aware, curious, and questioning her own purpose, much like Dek. That parallel makes their alliance one of the film's most intriguing dynamics.
Well, good luck with your journey.
Thea and Dek, an unlikely alliance. At first, Dek and Thea are enemies. She's programmed to follow Yautja protocols, and he sees all humans as intruders. But when both become targets, Dek by the corporation's mercenaries, Thea by her own kind, they're forced to rely on each other. Their partnership begins out of necessity, but grows into mutual respect. For the first time in Predator history, a Yautja bonds with an artificial being. There's even a thematic symmetry here. Both are creations of strict codes, Dek of Yautja honor, Thea of corporate programming, and both rebel against them. Together, they navigate Njohrr's wild landscapes, fight massive alien beasts, and uncover Yautja's hidden agenda. The monsters of the Badlands. Predator films have always featured terrifying creatures, but Badlands takes things to an entirely new scale. Njohrr's native life forms are massive, feral, and visually distinct from anything we've seen before. One of the standout beasts is Kalisk, a kaiju-sized monster that emerges from the jungle in a scene already teased in early footage. Covered in fur and muscle, Kalisk resembles a hybrid between a gorilla and a reptilian predator. Dek's battle with Kalisk is one of the film's defining sequences. It's brutal, primal, and shows how far Dek has evolved since his exile. He uses strategy, agility, and his reclaimed weapons to bring down a creature far stronger than himself, proving his worth not just to his clan, but to himself. Later scenes show Dek facing other monstrous threats, including giant tentacles emerging from the jungle, possibly part of a carnivorous plant species. These encounters test his adaptability, pushing him to use both his mind and his instincts.
The ones of violence.
Kwei, the lost brother. Before we dive deeper into Dek's transformation, we need to talk about Kwei, his older brother and the emotional heart of his past. Kwei was everything Dek wasn't. Strong, disciplined, respected, and destined for leadership. But unlike their father, he wasn't cruel. He loved his brother, trained with him, and protected him despite their differences. During the clan's combat ritual, Kwei defeats Dek easily, but when ordered by Njohrr to finish the job, he refuses. That act of compassion defines him and drives the entire story forward. Njohrr, furious at what he sees as weakness, attacks Kwei, severing his arm. It's a moment that echoes through the rest of the movie, a symbolic breaking of family ties and Yautja tradition. Kwei's ultimate fate isn't confirmed, but all signs suggest he's left dying after Dek's escape. His sacrifice gives Dek the chance to live, setting him on the path to redemption.
Long, you weeks.
Njohrr, the patriarch of tradition. Njohrr, the father, represents the ancient heart of Yautja society. Everything about his design screams authority. The heavy ceremonial armor engraved with clan symbols, the dark metallic plating trimmed with gold, the white dreadlocks signaling age and experience, and those horned extensions on his biomask that make him appear almost regal. He's not a villain in the traditional sense, but he is the embodiment of a worldview that cannot bend. In his eyes, mercy is weakness, and honor means obedience to the hunt. When Kwei refuses his command, Njohrr's fury stems not just from personal betrayal. It's ideological. His sons defy everything he believes defines their species. In many ways, Njohrr is to Dek what Darth Vader was to Luke Skywalker, a living shadow of what the hero could become if he succumbed to rage instead of compassion. Dek's transformation. Throughout Predator Badlands, Dek evolves from a frightened outcast into a warrior worthy of his lineage. But unlike other Yautja, his growth isn't about dominance, it's about balance. His alliance with Taya teaches him empathy and strategy. His battles with monsters teach him patience and adaptability. Every scar he earns becomes a mark of experience, not shame. By the time he confronts the Weyland-Yutani mercenaries, Dek is no longer just surviving. He's commanding his environment. His movements mirror the elegance of the elite hunters, but his choices show individuality. The film's theme becomes clear. Strength isn't only in physical power, it's in defiance, compassion, and the courage to redefine tradition.
You're here to prove yourself.
The future confrontation. The story strongly hints that Dek's journey will lead him back to Yautja Prime to face Njohrr one final time. Whether this confrontation ends in vengeance or reconciliation remains uncertain. Some theories suggest Dek will challenge his father in combat, echoing the ritual that began his exile. Others believe Njohrr may finally recognize his son's worth after hearing of his victories on Njohrr. Either outcome would carry emotional weight. If Dek kills Njohrr, it symbolizes breaking the cycle of cruelty that defined his clan. If Njohrr accepts him, it represents evolution within Yautja culture, a rare act of change in a species obsessed with hierarchy. The weapons of the bloodline. Weapons have always defined Yautja warriors, and in Badlands, they carry deeper meaning than ever before. Njohrr's plasma sword and gauntlet blades represent tradition and control. Kwei's red sword and bone-crafted armor reflect individuality within the clan structure. And Dek's modified gear, a hybrid of scavenged tech and Yautja craftsmanship, represents innovation born from exile. Even the absence of the signature fishnets, usually worn to regulate body heat, reflects adaptation. On Njohrr's blazing terrain, Dek sheds old armor for mobility. His minimalist look becomes symbolic of a stripped-down hunter reclaiming his essence. Our nerdy thoughts. Dek's family, the father who demanded perfection, the brother who showed compassion, and the son who became both, marks a turning point in Yautja lore. And whether Dek returns home as a warrior or a legend, one thing's certain, the Predator has finally become human. And that's the full breakdown of Dek's brutal family feud in Predator Badlands, a story that finally gives the Yautja something deeper than just the hunt, pride, betrayal, and redemption. Dek's journey from outcast to warrior could reshape everything we know about the Predator legacy. And if the rumors are true, his eventual face-off with Njohrr might become one of the franchise's most emotional moments yet. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to Nerdy Show, and tap the bell icon so you never miss a deep dive from your host, Spoiler Master. Let me know in the comments, whose side are you on? Dek's fight for honor or Njohrr's code of tradition? Until next time, stay curious, stay nerdy, and I'll see you in the next hunt.
No, what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.